You are told to forgive. You are told to endure. Because they're your family. But what if family is the very reason you feel broken, unheard, and constantly exhausted? Hi, I'm Abbas Salahshour, and this is The Light of Joy, a podcast for souls like yours, who are done pretending everything's fine just because they are told to keep the peace. Today's episode is for anyone who's quietly drowning in guilt, pain, and silence, because the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally actually didn't. So let's talk about that. I'd like to call it the silent war at home. No one sees it, no one talks about it. But behind so many happy family photos is a daily invisible war. A mother who controls everything you do, a father who turns love into fear, a sibling who competes, belittles, or mocks your pain, and yet you stay quiet because no one would believe you, because you were raised to believe that's just how family is. But it's not okay. It never was, and today we say that out loud. It's that sick feeling in your stomach when their name lights up your phone. It's knowing you'll leave the dinner table more drained than fed. It's realizing that the only time you are truly at peace is when you are far from them, and feeling guilty about that peace. You've tiptoed through years of dysfunction, thinking it was love. But deep down, you always knew that love shouldn't feel like survival. Yes, you got it right. We're talking about toxic families and what they really do to you. They don't always hit you. Sometimes they just ignore your needs, dismiss your emotions, mock your dreams, or guilt you into obedience. You grow up thinking your worth depends on how much you can endure. But here's the truth: being strong shouldn't mean being mistreated. It shows up later in life when you say sorry too often, when you over explain yourself, when you can't trust your instincts and love feels suspicious. Toxic families don't just hurt you in childhood, they program you to abandon yourself again and again in adulthood. The damage runs deep, but so does your ability to heal. And let's just call it what it is. It's not family tension. It's not just how parents are. It's emotional abuse. It's manipulation. It's control. And it's okay to admit that, even if no one else sees it. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're finally waking up. How many times have you tried to explain it to someone and they looked at you like you are the problem? But she's your mother. I'm sure he means well. In fact, their disbelief makes you second guess yourself. But deep inside, you know love should not require you to shrink, ache, or beg. Sometimes the most painful betrayal is the one no one else sees. And this is why guilt keeps you stuck. You feel guilty for wanting peace. You feel selfish for needing space. You feel like a bad son, a bad daughter, a bad sibling. But ask yourself this: if it wasn't family, would you still allow it? If a friend treated you like this, would you stay? In fact, guilt is a leash they use to keep you small. But your healing begins the moment you loosen it. That guilt is not yours. It was handed to you, conditioned into your nervous system like a reflex. You were taught that love means sacrifice, that speaking up is disrespect, and that silence is maturity. But here's the truth: setting boundaries is not rebellion, it's reclamation. You don't owe your life to the people who taught you to ignore it. Here's what you can do to protect your peace without burning everything down. You don't need to start a new war. You don't even need to explain yourself. Start with boundaries like, I'm not discussing this. If you raise your voice, I'll walk away. No, that doesn't work for me. Simple, quiet, and firm. You are not required to stay in pain to prove you're a good person. You don't have to scream to take back your voice. You don't need them to agree or understand you. Healing doesn't always look like confrontation. It can look like not answering that call, cutting a visit short, or simply no longer explaining your every move. Sometimes the boldest act of self respect is choosing your peace, again and again, quietly, without asking for permission. And to move on from that, you need to grieve the family you never had. This is the hardest part. You're not just walking away from toxicity, you're mourning the love that never came, the comfort you begged for, the safety you deserved. Let yourself grieve it, and grieve it bravely. And that sadness, it's sacred. It's not weakness, it's the beginning of your strength. It's the beginning of you starting to walk in the light of joy. You waited for years for the apology, for the softness, for the day that they'd finally see you. And now you're realizing it may never come. That's a heartbreak few talk about. Grieving people who are still alive. But this grief is powerful. It's the proof that you loved deeply and that you finally love yourself enough to let go of what was never real. Honestly, real love doesn't make you feel smaller. It doesn't silence you. It doesn't bruise your soul. And if you've never felt that kind of love before, I promise it still exists. It might not come from your family of origin, but it can come from your chosen family, from deep friendships, from people who see you and say, I'm glad you exist. You don't have to earn that. You don't have to settle for survival love. The kind of love that makes you anxious, hypervigilant, and small. There is love that feels like breathing, calm, warm, and accepting. You may not have found it yet, but you can be it for yourself first. And when you do, it starts to show up around you too, bit by bit, moment by moment. The love you deserve finds its way in. To everyone listening who's surviving a toxic family, you are not wrong. You are not alone, and you're allowed to walk away from what hurts you, even if it shares your last name. Let go of the guilt, let go of the shame, and start living the life your younger self deserved. If this episode reached you in that tender place, please share it with someone else who's quietly struggling too. Let them know they are not alone either. Follow the light of joy wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're ready to reclaim your power, I'll meet you back here next week. Until then, stay soft, stay strong, and above all, walk freely in the light of joy.